Welcome back, family, to the Doctor Next Door. I am your host, Dr. George Korede. I am board certified in rheumatology and internal medicine. I am a practicing physician. I am not a podcast bro. I'm not trying to hustle you some supplement. I'm simply trying to give you life advice that you can apply right now to improve your overall health. So let's dive into it. This episode is titled Fatigue and Sleep. Why would I choose fatigue and sleep as the title of our second episode? I'll tell you a brief story. There was once a young doctor with a mediocre radio voice who was struggling. He seed patients every day and helped them realize their diagnosis, what was keeping them from their best selves. But he didn't feel fulfilled. He had low energy. He was anxious. He was depressed. He knew something was off. He was losing himself. So by now, I'm sure you can determine it was me. I went to go see my PCP. And my PCP ran a battery of tests. He checked for anemia, which is a blood count test that checks if you have enough red blood cells carrying oxygen to your body. If you're off or you have low red blood cell count, this can cause you to feel really tired. He asked me about sleep apnea. He said, do you wake up snoring, or do you wake up gasping for air, or notice that you snore really loudly? He checked my thyroid blood test and many others. He did a whole battery of tests looking for what could be the cause of my fatigue. And everything came back normal. So that's good, right? But I was frustrated. Why did I feel like this? Why was I so fatigued? I felt like I was losing myself. So then I had a really astute PCP. He asked me a series of questions that changed my life. He said, "Are you anxious?" I said, "Yeah. I'm a doctor and I'm finishing up training and I want to make sure I land the plane. I've dedicated my whole life to helping others. And if I don't land this plane, it's going to be a lot of egg on my face." He asked me if I was depressed. I said, "I don't think so. I do get sad at times." But then he said something I'll never forget. He said, "How do you sleep?" And I said, Well, I sleep about 4 to 5 hours each night. And that's when I realized the association, right? He taught me that sleep hygiene and getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep is imperative for normal functioning human beings, right? He taught me all the different things I was doing that was impairing my ability to sleep well through the night. That's why I chose this as our topic. So many patients and people come to me and ask about energy and not sleeping well and not feeling like themselves. Maybe you feel like you're not remembering things as well. You're not quite as energetic as you used to be. Your workouts are suffering. I'll just catch up over the weekend. I'll just power through with a cup of coffee, right? The kids need me. We have to go to the recital. Over the weekend, I'll get a little bit of sleep. I don't need sleep tonight. But there are real consequences that I noticed in my life and several patients and people I know when you don't get good sleep chronically. I became more irritable. I wasn't the well-spoken, calm doctor you hear today. I was moody. My energy suffered. I wasn't able to work out the same. I felt like I flirted with depression, right? And I didn't realize that all of this can be connected to not getting good sleep. And then I started seeing similarities in my patients. People would come in and say, "Doctor, I'm tired all the time." They often expected one simple answer. Maybe it's a vitamin D deficiency. Maybe it's a hormone problem. Maybe it was a medication side effect. And all these things can cause serious problems with sleep and fatigue. And you should talk to your own doctor about your individual problems and see what's right for you. But sometimes it's not. And many times it's simply how you're sleeping. I want to make a key point here that fatigue is a check engine light in your car. It tells you something is wrong. You can still drive the car, but eventually the car will break down, right? If you don't address why that check engine light is on. But it doesn't tell you what it is, right? It doesn't tell you why you're having fatigue. Obviously, poor sleep is a major contributor to this. But stress, sleep apnea, anemia, thyroid disease, as I mentioned before, poor nutrition, not enough exercise, all these things can be complexly related to your energy levels and fatigue. Sometimes it's one thing, sometimes it's several. One thing that really surprised me is we know that sleep affects energy, but we don't realize how quickly just getting good sleep improves your overall health. I started paying attention to my sleep schedule and being consistent with when I went to bed. I went to bed at the same time every night and woke up at the same time every day. I became a sleep champion. My wife knows, my kids know, Dad, when he's in bed at 9 o'clock, it's over. There's no more bedtime. There's none of that. No emails. We're done, right? I prioritize and recognize that this is so important for my overall well-being. All right. Some key takeaways that helped me improve my sleep and fatigue and energy levels was understanding how, one, light impacts our sleep cycle. Number two, how caffeine affects our sleep cycle. And number three, how routine affects our sleep cycle. Once I understood these three things well, gradually things started to improve. Not overnight, but they did improve. Really quickly, light is a cue that receptors in our bodies use to know we need to produce a little cortisol because we need to be alert, start to rise and wake up. And interestingly, the body will, about 14 hours later, produce melatonin. And that's when it starts to get dark, right? It will naturally set this clock in you if you get early morning sunlight to align you with the day so that you'll rise when it's light outside and you'll start getting sleepy when it gets dark just by exposing yourself to sunlight, primarily early in the day. Number two, caffeine. Dr. Korede is not here to tell you not to drink caffeine. I love some coffee or some black tea. But what I realized is, for me, having several cups in the morning and then another in the afternoon when I crash wasn't good. Caffeine can remain in your system for up to 10 to 12 hours after you consume it. So even though you don't think it's doing anything, it's still in your body and it can negatively impact your ability to sleep. It's so important that you realize that, one, the amount of caffeine, and more importantly, two, when you consume caffeine is very important. Typically, most people recommend that after noon you stop drinking coffee. Not only coffee, anything with caffeine in it. So people think of coffee and tea, black tea, green tea has caffeine in it, but also monster drinks, Diet Coke. These things have caffeine in them, and they may persist in your system, and be the reason why you're having trouble sleeping later, right? So we're going to work on, one, reducing our overall amount of caffeine, and two, seeing if we can consume it before noon. I know it sounds crazy. Don't cancel me yet, right? But if you go a few days and reduce your caffeine intake, you will actually notice that you will sleep better and you'll be less reliant on the caffeine. It's actually a crazy cycle. You don't sleep well, so you use the caffeine to keep you wired and awake, but you're not really rejuvenated or energized because you didn't get great sleep with the caffeine molecules bumping into your brain at night, right? Reduce your caffeine and see if your sleep actually improves. Lastly, a routine is so important for your sleep, right? Going to sleep at the same time every night and rising at the same time is so imperative. It affects your quality of sleep. Your body loves this rhythm and routine. We all have to get aligned with what our body wants, and our body is able to predict when it's time to go to sleep and when it's time to rise. When I understood these three things well, gradually things started to improve. It wasn't overnight, but they did improve. All right. A few things I've learned from seeing patients are: you see an exhausted mother trying to balance work and her children. They need her. She's got responsibilities. Sometimes I see a shift worker whose body clock is disrupted because he or she is working at night when it's dark outside, and when it's light, they're trying to get good sleep. And once again, that complex interplay with sunlight is dysregulating their ability to get good sleep. There's executives and high functioning people that are answering emails way late at night, and they have to rise early and be on top of their game to do what is necessary. But they don't realize that this may be impacting their ability to sleep. There's several retirees who nap several hours every afternoon and wonder why they can't sleep at night. They're very different people living different lives, but many of them have the same exact problem. Okay, I've talked a lot, shared a lot of stories. Let's talk about practical things that we can do to improve our sleep tonight. All right. Number one, wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day. I know it's crazy. I know the kids. I know you've got work. I know it. I hear you. But I guarantee you, if you get your body used to going to sleep at the same time, your sleep will improve and it becomes more predictable. You will start to see your body get tired at a certain time and want to rise at a certain time, even without an alarm clock. It's crazy how it works. Your body loves consistency. Number two, commit to getting some sunlight earlier in the day. Take the dog for a walk, go out with your significant other, or just go out by yourself, clear your head, get some of that sunlight. And it's really good for, once again, setting that internal clock that we all have and aligning it to when you're supposed to rise and when you're supposed to be asleep. Number three, we are going to commit to drinking caffeine earlier in the day and limiting the amount. We are often surprised by how long caffeine remains in our system. Read up on it, Google it. Okay. The truth is, I am not a huge sleep expert. I've struggled with sleep, but as many internists and primary care physicians do, we have to treat people that have fatigue and chronic sleep. And a lot of times it's tied into sleep apnea, thyroid issues, anemia, what have you. And we do treat these things. But what if I could get a sleep specialist on the show, someone who's dedicated her life to teaching and learning about sleep? Next episode, we'll talk about insomnia, sleep apnea, melatonin, Oura rings, the iWatch and how it tracks your sleep, sleep studies, CPAP machines, the biggest myths people associate with sleep. If you've ever laid awake staring at the ceiling, wondering why your brain won't turn off, this next episode is for you. As always, thanks for listening to The Doctor Next Door. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow the show, leave a rating, and share it with someone who could use a better night's sleep. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of your people. Dr. Korede out.